Seeker. It is Saturday, November 18th, 2023, the 322nd day of the year. Again, the day in history the founder of the Illuminati, Adam Weishaupt, died. That was in the year 1830. Of course, the Illuminati founded in 1776, May 1st, just before the United States was born. But this number, 322, again, it's very important to Skull and Bones at Yale. And Yale just turned 322 years old on October 9th. And today's the 41st day of the school's age. And of course, in Gematria, Skull and Bones equals 41, like one of their most famous members, George H.W. Bush, was the 41st president. We're coming up on his death anniversary on November 30th, 11 plus 30, 41, the day Paul Walker, the actor, died in a red Porsche, just like how he's in the movie The Skull's About Skull and Bones. And again, gets a red Porsche in the film from The Secret Society, only to die in this mysterious way 5 years to the day of George Herbert Walker Bush. But anyhow, I'm bringing these things up because 322 is important to Skull and Bones, and we're on the 322nd day of the year. And CNN, this headline that they've had up this morning, U.S. hate crime surge. Again, there's been a huge focus on this since the war jumped off in Israel, and they're calling it Israel's 9/11. And after 9/11, hate crime surged. People were killing each other because of the assumptions they made about one another's appearances and religion. But what stands out to me is in the post-9/11 era, there's been a popular Hollywood film series that's even become a show on TV called The Purge. And The Purge is about a political future set around this time period where there's a new founding fathers who've taken over the U.S. government, and the new holiday they have for the people to celebrate is the Purge. And they say the Purge is the way for America to get out all of its ill feelings towards the people in the society that live around them. So for 24 hours, or maybe, actually I take it back, it's for 12 hours. It begins at 7 p.m. March 21st and ends at 7 a.m. March 22nd, 322. In the film series, the new holiday goes from sundown to sunup, 12-hour period, and murder is legal. You can murder anyone you want, except for essentially people who are listed as special people like politicians and CEOs. But pretty much everyone else is fair game. You can legally murder as many people as you want. This is what the film series is about. If you go back when it was created, the creator of the film series said they were inspired by Donald Trump. And, of course, Donald Trump's this very polarizing figure who's made people hate each other over their divisions. So, again, is it an accident that CNN makes this their top story on the 322nd day of the year? In light of popular culture and the Purge and the significance of that number. And don't forget, that number goes way back. In fact, if you look into the Jamestown Massacre, it happened in history on March 22nd, 322. And again, the story was that a Native American tribe slaughtered an entire village of European settlers. But there was no eyewitness. There was no proof of who did it. There were just all these dead bodies in the village. And it got blamed on the Native Americans. And if you look into what came out of that massacre of that town, the people all of a sudden wanted to identify as something more local rather than the people who traveled across the Atlantic to the new land. And they came up with the name Virginia. And they started calling themselves Virginianers. And out of that became the early, establishment, the path to this nation. And some of the ideas that came out of the union of people and the new identity was to protect themselves from the local natives. And the next thing you knew, you had a genocide of the natives. And again, was it natives who really killed the people of that town in the first place? Or was that the made-up story to blame on an enemy for the sake of an agenda and for the sake of money and wealth and power and control and all that comes out of war? A lot of money was made after the wars that came after 9/11. And don't forget, with regards to 322 and 9/11, you had the son of George H.W. Bush, George W. Bush, a member of Skull and Bones, in office when 9/11 happened. And you can look into, again, the Amalgam Virgo simulation of Al Qaeda attacking the U.S. That was June 1st, 2001. You can also look into the simulation Pentagon Maskell, which happened on the date October 24th, 2000. On that date, they simulated a plane flying into the Pentagon. And the funny thing about October 24th, 2000, is that was exactly 322 days before 9/11. And again, just the number of Order 322, Skull and Bones, known as the Brotherhood of Death, known for having influence in all kinds of places, including the realm of Hollywood, and that's why they're making movies about Skull and Bones. And again, this killing holiday by the new founders, the new founding fathers, concluding on 322. So, CNN, big story this morning again, U.S. hate crime surge. Predictive programming, a program, programming the populace to have thoughts and ideas. These people trying to manifest the reality they want for us, where we're more at each other's throats than ever, there's more division and chaos than ever, and the tyrants are growing in power and control all the more for it, because then they can say, you know what, because of all the chaos and killing and all the bad things going on in your society, we're going to put even more cameras everywhere, we're going to have even stricter rules, curfew, if you get caught on camera disobeying curfew and the new rules from the new founding fathers, you'll also end up in a new cage, which we just built, because we're still building prisons faster than we build schools. Again, that's been a stat that's been true since I've been a small child, and that all came out of the purposeful drug war, where all of a sudden there were these really new harsh drug sentencing laws, especially for crack cocaine, as it was a brand new thing in darker complected communities. Again, you guys, all of these things over the years have been an agenda by the authorities, and we're not seeing the forest for the trees and how we're getting played for fools. So yeah, you got that story. That's one thing that definitely jumps out today on 322 Day. Another thing is the SpaceX launch and losing the rocket over the sea. Remember, Skull and Bones, they get their symbolism from how the Templars buried their dead in an ossuary. And the word Templar equals 41, like Skull and Bones. And again, today is Yale's 41st day of its age, and it's 322 years old. And again, Skull and Bones equals 41, and it is Order 322 at Yale. And they've put people in high places all over, from Oval Offices to charge of the military, corporations, so many Skull and Bones members in high places. Steve Mnuchin recently at the Treasury. But Skull and Bones, the history of getting the symbolism from the Templars becoming pirates after they were burned at the stake. And here, the headline of the rocket being lost over the sea, where the pirates reign, and again, a lot of terminology we use. False flags, that's a pirate concept as well. But notice on 322, as they do this, the other headline is all 33 super heavy engines lit up. That's a big deal. So that's the silver lining, despite losing the rocket. All 33. This time they're going for a new mark on the 322nd day of the year. They're going for 33. And again, just to remind and go down memory lane. That was weird. Okay, actually, we'll use Derek's calculator just because more people. Oh, Derek's calculator's down. I see. Derek's calculator is down. All right, since Derek's calculator is down, we'll use mine. It has the same calculator, it's just not as colorful. But the most pure cipher, the alphabetic order with numerology, just all the 33. And we'll bring in the Skull and Bones edition today because, remember, the alumni of Skull and Bones, Order 322, are called Bonesmen, which equals 33, right? And George W. Bush had graduated from Skull and Bones in 68, 33 years before 2001 when 9/11 went down, 322 days after the Pentagon Maskell simulation. And CNN was the network that broke the footage of the plane hitting the tower. How come CNN still hasn't broken the footage of the plane hitting the Pentagon? It's over 20 years later. But anyway, Bonesman's 33 in this cipher. And the way this cipher works is simple. You just take the alphabetic order and apply numerology. So B is the second letter, so B would be worth 2. O is the 15th letter. The numerology of 15 is 1 plus 5 is 6. So you have 2 plus 6. N, the 14th letter, becomes 5. E, the 5th letter, is 5. S, the 19th letter, becomes 1. Again, you're just using the numerology, compressing each larger digit number down to a single digit, and then adding the letters as numbers. And in the settings, you can also you can get the math up here. Or hold on. Whoops. I gotta check out what's going on. Normally it shows the math. That is weird that the math is not popping up. I have to talk to the web. How did that disappear? But anyway, Bonesman is 33. Remember, secrecy is 33. Order is 33. Federal is 33. Masonry is 33. The Bushes are Masons. The House of the Temple, the Masonic headquarters in D.C. Somehow I am just really messing this up. Let me try this over again. I don't know why the list didn't generate. One more time. All of those words are 33. And again, it's not just what's in the words. Here. I didn't even get the full list. Masonry is 33. Order 33. Secrecy 33. Federal 33. The federal city, D.C., is known as the Masonic City, named after George Washington, the Freemason. George Washington has a monument in Virginia built in him that's 333 feet tall, not to be confused with the 555-foot tall Washington Monument in D.C. that sits across from the 5-sided Pentagon with a 5-acre court in the middle that has 5 floors above ground. Again, there's another reason for that. But Masonry, order, secrecy, federal, all these words 33. Bonesman, 33. The word pirate is 33. The phrase false flag is 33. Terminology that comes from pirates. Again, what pirates would do to make their enemies look bad is do something horrific, and then when they did it, they'd be carrying around their enemy's flag so that people would think it was their enemy, so that it would shame their enemy. Now they'd have a group of people also trying to kill their enemy. Again, it's a sick trick, and that's why some people say 9/11 was a false flag. And again, you research the evidence, it's pretty obvious where this false flag points back to. The Masonic order out of Yale known as Skull and Bones, where the alumni are bonesmen for a 33. So all these 33s, right? And then you got the SpaceX, and with regards to SpaceX, again, outer space. At the House of the Temple in D.C., the Masonic headquarters, where there's 33 columns on the outside that are each 33 feet tall, there's also an exhibit paying tribute to the fact that nearly every single astronaut to travel to outer space has been a Mason. So, it's like somebody said that they just showed their father one of my videos, and they couldn't believe the way their father reacted by saying it was just clickbait and a bunch of nonsense and more stupid internet stuff. Again, 1 million people have looked at these videos and said the same things over the years, but really all the people who do that are it's the instant cognitive dissonance effect. It's just like all the people after 9/11 who couldn't swallow the truth that 9/11 was an obvious lie. Never fooled me for 1 second. I had enough intelligence, pay grade, to not be fooled by obvious bullshit. That's not true for most Americans, thus why the majority of the country was totally fooled and bamboozled and hoodwinked. And anyway, if you guys didn't know that, when Obama was using those lines, he took them right from the Malcolm X film done by Spike Lee. And by the way, Malcolm X, look at this, you guys. Malcolm X film length. I remember this. 202 minutes, right? What is that? That's 3 hours and 22 minutes. Malcolm X was assassinated in a major ritual by the code in 33 Land, New York. And again, I don't think it's an accident that film series is 3 hours and 22 minutes. And again, if you are new here, the 4 base ciphers in Gematria. Alphabetic order, forwards and backwards with numerology. We just got real acquainted with the alphabetic order with numerology, which is where the majority of the research is. But you got to know all 4 ciphers, because look at Skull and Bones. 149, that's the 35th prime. 35 is very important to the Catholic Church. Skull and Bones is modeled after the Templars, the military order of the Catholic Church. Skull and Bones 41, just like how George W. Bush was number 41 Skull and Bones member. Again, this year, Yale, 322 years old, and this year, the 322nd day of the year, falls on the 41st day of the campus's age, which is October 9th. So count October 9th through today, November 18th. That's a total of 41 days. It would be 40 days later, total span of 41 days. 41st day of the university age. Skull and Bones, also 202 when you run the alphabetic order in reverse. And again, George H.W. Bush, the 41st president, his birthday is June 12th, the day leaving 202 days left in the year. And then his son's birthday, July 6th, 7-6, also corresponds with Skull and Bones 76. And don't forget what happened on George W. Bush's 76th birthday on 7-6. The Georgia Guidestones fell down, which are about depopulation, reducing the Earth's population to 500 million to preserve the Earth. They fell down on 7-6, his 76th birthday, and the stones were put up and etched and unveiled on March 22nd, 322. Something we've been talking about for all these years about Skull and Bones way before they fell down. And then when they fell down on the Pope's 202nd day of his age. Just like how the Skull and Bones movie with Paul Walker came out on his 202nd day of his age. And then again, he dies on November 30th, 11 plus 30, 41, 5 years to the day of Papa Bush, number 41 dying on that day. I guess the one other 33 thing that I could add is the one color that equals 33 in Gematria is orange. And of course, orange is associated with fire, and fire is this all-important thing. And again, the word orange, 33. Just another one for the list. So, and just with regards to a priest class, the word priest is also 33. Priest class essentially is what rules over humanity. Just like how the Catholic Church used to be the government of Europe, the priest class still rules over humanity. And again, Mark Passio, no matter what you think of him, his work is interesting on the Church of Satan, which has all the parallels with the Jesuits, as we always talk about, and Passio's Jesuit educated as well. Jesuit educated, former satanic priest, who now speaks against it to a degree, but never reveals anything. But he makes the point that, from being in the church, being handpicked by Anton LaVey, he can assure you that a lot of prominent people in this society are of the priest class and higher in the Church of Satan. And, there's a reason that this group's tenet is self-worship. And, again, Satanism. The first tenet is self-worship. You think about the ruling class, the selfish things they do for their own power. I mean, destroying people's lives, war, Anthony Fauci type of research, if you look into it. Again, Jesuit-educated man, of course, Anthony Fauci, just like most of the people on the chessboard. But yeah, the things that the ruling class does, the dishonesty, the deception, the war, the killing, the nonstop fear-mongering, the poisoning of minds, young and old, and especially the young minds, which they do with their indoctrination centers, which they call school systems. But yeah, just for another familiar pattern, actually, let's make this point too. There's always been a connection with space in the Bible, and recently you were just reading about the latest dead astronaut who was part of the 1968 Christmas Eve moon mission where they orbited the moon reportedly, and they read from Genesis about the firmament, how the Earth is separated from what's above, which NASA and their claims would debunk. And then that's why some people in this world have totally thrown out religion, because they're like, look, science already proved that was a bunch of phony baloney. But at the same time, there's an argument on the other side, well, are these claims and supposed things that happen, did they really happen? Or are we being lied to? Is it all just part of deception for mass mind control and to steer people down a dangerous agenda? So, add to that 33 list. Genesis is 33, the first book of the Bible. If you run the alphabetic order in reverse numerology, Bible's 33. But you have a group of Masons in space reading from Genesis. The word lunar also has the Gematria 33 in the same cipher as Bible. The word craft also has the Gematria of 33 in that cipher, and Masons refer to this knowledge as the craft. But in light of the bringing 33 together with the space story on the 322nd day of the year, don't forget that in the Bible, Genesis 3:22 mentions the tree of life, the physical model for Kabbalah, which has a good half and an evil half. And Genesis 3:22 talks about the tree of life and knowing good and evil. And the tree of life has 3 pillars and 22 paths. So, um, again, there's a reason they do all this. They know the conflict it creates in society. Religious people, like devoutly religious people, don't like stories like this. It conflicts their religious belief. A household where they're all devout Christians and then they're in the state school system and little Johnny comes home and he's like, oh, you know what? Our religion's false because my teacher told me this about the moon landing and how that debunked that. And these things happen, right? And the next thing you know, you have, it's like the child's like, do I trust my parent or do I trust my teacher who's more educated at the school system where I'm supposed to be learning to be so smart so I can get a good job someday? But this is why they do this. And the sad thing is how they keep putting the same numbers in front of our face day in and day out. And I don't know. It's just like the person who left the comment, like, I was so disappointed I shared your video with my dad and I thought he would totally get it. And all he said was it was stupid clickbait. It's just like, it's just like if I share these things with my sister, she just says it's just stupid. It doesn't make any sense. And it's like, how doesn't it make sense? Kabbalah, Book of Formation, says God created the world with numbers, letters, words. In Genesis, God speaks the world into existence over numbered days. The fourth book of the Bible's numbers. The Bible came from the authorities always using numbers and very redundant numbers that are quite biblical. And just to add on to this 33 list, you guys, 33 is the master teacher number in numerology. Teacher equals 33. Teacher's 33. And, people is 33. So is person 33. So is society 33. They're all 33. Even the word nervous is 33. And again, the human vertebrae is made out of 33 bones. Kundalini is about spiritual ascension up the vertebrae, the 33 bones of the vertebrae. And it's why 33 is venerated by Masonry. Freemasonry equals secret society equals Kundalini. Again, the study of the spiritual ascension up the bones of the vertebrae. But also our nervous system controlled by our vertebrae. And the society making more and more people anxious and depressed. Thus, more and more pharmaceuticals. And I mean, isn't it interesting how, again, just like people is 33, person's 33, society's 33, the master teacher number is 33, which equals 33. And the news, instead of like giving you information to let you make up your mind, each day it's giving you stories with an agenda, an angle, and you're supposed to learn it if you want to be perceived as a good person by the talking heads on the news, who like right now are telling you that if you support Gaza and not Israel, you're a bad person. You're a bad American. You're anti-American. For having your own individual thought based on the evidence you've gathered in your lifetime, you're a bad person. Just like after 9/11, if you question the story in 2001 that came 33 years after 1968 when World Trade Center construction began and 911 was made the national emergency dialing code and George W. Bush graduated from Yale and Skull and Bones and Boeing debuted their jumbo jetliners and the New York Jets had their only Super Bowl winning season and on and on and on. If you question all those things, you're a bad person. Back then, you should move out of the country. So, for the record, if you just use the alphabetic order, in the beginning equals 137, which is what Genesis means, which is the 33rd prime, just like Washington, D.C. equals 137 in that simple cipher. And again, D.C. is the Masonic city, the federal city. So, the 33 list of words, a very long list, all in one cipher, and all having relationships. There's a reason that they're putting this number as and you know what? I didn't even put this on there. Police, of course, the authorities, police, the fraternal order of police, which is Masonic, police is 33. And so often these stories, the end of the line with the story is the police statement, the authorities. What they told the news, that's where the story ends, even if the story doesn't make any sense. Okay. So from that space story to, again, this space story, which I covered yesterday and I thought a little bit more about. Longer video yesterday talking about how supposedly military history was made yesterday in Israel when their Star Wars defense system knocked down a rocket from the opposition, the would-be attackers of Israel. Now, November 17th, the day this happened, again, special day. We're always talking about the 44 rituals year after year on this day. Obama recently put out his book, A Promised Land, on this day. Young Dolph got smoked in a 44 ritual synced up with MLK who was killed in Memphis on 4/4. But always something about 44 on November 17th. Yesterday, the government announced they're going to put out 44,000 hours of video from January 6th, starting yesterday, the day leaving 44 days left in the year. But in Gematria, military equals 44, like Israel, like Zion, like Netanyahu, like space. And again, the founder of Zionism, Theodore Herzl, died at age 44 in 1904, 44 years before Israel was created in 1948. And all the other things over the years that we talked about with 44 in Israel, this is just the latest. But Star Wars has the same gematria as Star of David. And it's funny because Star Wars also equals 29, and Star Wars came out 29 years after the creation of Israel. And their flag is the star, right? And they're always at war. And they're always getting support from the West. And this is causing this major division and hatred in the world. That's why hate is rising to an all-time high, just like it did after 9/11, like how they did this on the anniversary of the invasion of Afghanistan after 9/11, which was completely unjust because Afghanistan didn't have anything to do with 9/11. And then remember, we killed all the Taliban and brought back the poppy production, and the next thing you knew, there was an opioid crisis, and the next thing you knew, Rudy Giuliani, who was the mayor of New York and so connected to 9/11, was also defeating the people going after the Sacklers and Purdue family for the opioid crisis. And let's not forget, Rudy Giuliani was the 107th mayor, and 9/11 happened on his 107th day of his age, and then we invaded Afghanistan on 10/7, a territory always controlled by the empires of the world to control the world's drug trade. Because again, that's always been the name of the game. You control the resources that control people. Drugs control people, money controls people. Drugs are money if you're the drug dealer. If you're the drug addict, you're perpetually the slave of the drug dealer. But anyway, George Lucas, who made Star Wars, he has the same birthday as Israel. And again, he was born 4 years to the day of Israel, and he was born in 44, born on May 14th. And he's 79 at the time of this ritual. Remember, in the same cipher, just running the alphabetic order in reverse with numerology, all three of these things equal the same thing. I don't know why it's not showing the math. That is so weird. Hold on. I can't think right now. Christianity is what I wanted to write out. Christianity is 79. Society of Jesus is 79. Remember, the pandemic was declared on Anthony Fauci's 79th day, being 79 years old. He's a member. And Knights Templar is 79. And again, they're the old military order of the Catholic Church, where the Society of Jesus is the new one, and the Society of Jesus, or the Jesuits, they have the Templar cross in their logo. So all those things are 79. And again, military, right? And the Knights Templar goes back to Jerusalem. They were the Knights of the Temple. We've been talking about how important the temple is in the ritual that's ongoing with Israel and Hamas. Again, the war was officially declared by Israel the day after the attack on Sunday, October 8th, 70 days before the Pope's birthday, when the last temple was destroyed in the year 70. And again, Vatican equals 70, and so does Francis. And the Catholic Church is the reason for the contested site being called Temple Mount, which has the same gematria as Catholic in religion. But again, just the Templars, Jerusalem, Israel, the history, the ongoing history, the repetition. And now, I mean, isn't it obvious? Star Wars, the Star of David. And I feel like there's always irony with everything they do. They know that they're the dark side. They know that they're Darth Vader. They know that the few people who speak out are the rebels and the heroes in the Star Wars series. It's just like right now, the news media's telling you got to be part of the dark side. You got to be down for the slaughter of the nation that's already destroyed. That's, as it's been referred to by many, as an open-air prison where half the buildings are already in rubble from all the warfare. You got to be down with the further destruction of Gaza, or you're a bad American. You know, I mean, that's the media's talking point on every network right now. But again, Star Wars came out on the 145th day of the year. Israel and George Lucas, both born on 14/5, like 145. Again, Catholic also equals 145, like the 145 more chapters in the Catholic Old Testament. Again, we know Israel, a long time coming, a product of the world wars, which were by design, unnecessary death. to bring about these biblical ideas and narratives that so many people are so invested in. And again, this mechanism of manipulating the world makes people take sides in a really hard way. And it's why people end up being willing to die for these causes that they get led into. And some people, they wake up along the way and realize, like, wait a minute, this isn't what I thought it was. It happened to a lot of people in the last 20-some years who went over to these wars in the Middle East and realized there was something different going on than what they thought. You know, people are probably wishing they spent less time watching things like Star Wars and spent more times researching and reading books about people who've been speaking out about the lies and tyranny taking place in this nation and the unnecessary wars and all the murder and all the blood on the hands of the U.S. and the other nations that are doing this. Again, it's a new world order, you guys. And it didn't start with the U.S. We're a product of it, just like Israel is. So, yeah, again, most simple cipher. Star Wars, Star of David, both 119, just like how we just had the 119th World Series. Ending on George W. Bush's 119th day of his age. Oops. Oh, got multiple ciphers up here. I just wanted this one. But yeah, again, just 119, right? Star Wars and Star of David. And, hold on, I hit the wrong thing. There we go. Now it's right. Star Wars, Star of David. 119, most simple cipher. And again, if you do it with numerology, Star Wars is 29 instead, and the film came out 29 years after Israel was created. And all along we've been pointing out, predictive programming, planned rituals, going along by a code. So, again, that's why I typically use Derek's calculator. It's more presentation friendly, but this calculator is designed the way it is because it also works perfectly on a smartphone, Apple or Android. So it's all the same software and interface. But and if you want to take it even further, Star Wars came out in 1977, and again, this isn't supposed to be hate speech. It's just supposed to be a gematria observation. Here, let me see if his website came back up. No, his is still down. Okay. But Judaism has Gematria 77. It's also 112 in reverse, like the Balfour Declaration on November 7th. Judaism's also 23, and here we are at the end of 2023, 83 years after the New York Times publication of New World Order Pledge to Jews, where 83 is the 23rd prime. See how Judaism's 49? So is Catholicism, right? Again, the Jesuits, the Jewish Catholic Alliance that was formed in the time of their suppression, and America's got that 49 as well. But Judaism is 77, like the year Star Wars came out. And Zionist is also 77, and also 112, like the Balfour Declaration, which talks about the creation of a Zionist nation in Palestine. So, what are the odds that Israel would become the first nation to fulfill the Star Wars idea? And you might have noticed that in the base ciphers, Zionist also equaled 40. The declaration of the war had a lot to do with 40. They used, I think it was called Title 40 to declare the war Israel. But Zionist is 40, and Star Wars was something dreamt up by Ronald Reagan out of Hollywood, the 44th president. And for the record, again, he was the 33rd governor of California, and Hollywood's also 33. Hollywood, of course, is also 48, like Donald Trump, who has all the parallels with Reagan. But yeah, that's the main point about the Star Wars thing and the significance of this happening, while George Lucas is 79, going back to the Templars and the military order in this region of the world, serving the Catholic Church and their interests. Also in the headlines, Taylor Swift mourns fan who died because of sweltering heat in Rio de Janeiro before the first show in Brazil, Friday, November 17th. Again, you guys, November 17th leaves 44 days left in the year. 44, a fateful number. All throughout history, the word kill equals 44, execution 44, deadly number that we talk about all the time. But in light of the fans supposedly dying from sweltering heat, the thing that jumps out about that is Rio de Janeiro, because that is where Agenda 21, June 12th, 92, or excuse me, not June 12th, June 13th. The signing date for all the countries participating in Agenda 21, they signed on June 13th. The day leaving 201 days left in the year, the conference officially ended the next day, June 14th, where June 14th, which is Trump's birthday and the U.S. flags, through December 31st, those are the last 201 days of the year. That's why June 13th leaves 201 days in the year. But 201 was all over the Agenda 21 conference, and it was in Rio de Janeiro where this death happened. And guess what the gematria of Rio de Janeiro is? Rio de Janeiro, 201. So it's 201. It's also 69 and 75. New World Order 69 and 75. Catholic Church is 69 and 71. Catholic Popes 201. Again, a lot of things connect with that 69 and 75 that have to do with the Jesuit history, the Jesuit Order 69, the word Illuminati 69, the Illuminati founded by the Jesuit Adam Weishaupt, Order of Illuminati 201, Adam Weishaupt dead 201 days after the anniversary of the Order's establishment. But Rio de Janeiro has all these big numbers that, again, have to do with all these things. And remember what they said the silver lining of COVID was. COVID was simulated with Event 201 by the Jesuit Klaus Schwab. Articles are written about how the silver lining of the coronavirus pandemic was that it helped Agenda 21 and Agenda 2030 goals come into focus and accomplishment, because there was, at periods of time during the pandemic, so many less people on the road and traveling and consumption and just all the things that got shut down. And again, you take a step back and you start to look, you start to realize that everything they're doing is about climate change, the term they use. And by the way, climate change equals coronavirus, equals Society of Jesus, go figure, equals Anthony Fauci, equals Gavin Newsom, equals the number that corresponded with everybody, 56, where Cuomo, the Jesuit, was the 56th governor, and Donald Trump's Jesuit education began 56 years before coronavirus. And he waited until Friday the 13th, the date with 56 numerology, to declare the pandemic for the U.S. 2 days after the World Health Organization did it. And remember, the pandemic being declared on 3/11. 3/11 is 201 in base 8 counting. So, and just all the million other things that went with it. But yeah, that's why it's just like when you're awake to what they're doing and the history and the policies that are in motion, and Taylor Swift's 33 years old right now. She's 33. And keep in mind, this did happen yesterday, they said, but it's really the story today on the 322nd day of the year. Again, Kabbalah, knowing good and evil. It's like, I swear their game is to trick people into ideas that sound good if you haven't done enough research, but it's really about something bad. It's like, here, we're making you feel like you're doing something good, but see, you're doing something evil. Yeah, see, the bad guys, the people in the cave, they did 9/11, so we got to go over there and kill all those other people that look like them to preserve the greatest nation there ever was. Everyone who's never researched anything, they're like, yeah, we are the greatest, freest nation. We got to do that because they're going to take us down. But it's like, because you didn't research anything, you didn't realize that you're part of this evil nation that's built on lies and nothing but lies, and it's always at war and killing innocent people in the name of more lies, in the name of freedom. Because you never looked into that, you didn't realize you were just riding on the ship of evil, endorsing every evil idea. And again, that's the real reason, like the person who showed their father this and he came back with his reaction, because he's riding on that ship of evil. I already know it without even knowing him. He's someone who's been just down with every agenda. He's not questioning everything. That's the legit stuff. Anything going against the legit stuff, like the stuff he learned about in slave school, then that's the problem. But yeah, Rio de Janeiro is where the big 201 signing was for Agenda 21. And of course, 201 and 21 are a lot alike, and Jesuits 21 and the Jesuit Order's 201. And there's reasons for all of that. The Holy Bible's 201, Bible's 21. It's all biblical. 21, the sixth triangular number, the Bible, a book of 6. Man made on the sixth day. God regrets making man in Genesis 6:6. Revelation The 66th book teaches about the number of a man, the number of the beast, 666. But yeah, now to preserve God's creation, they got to get rid of man. Just like how God regretted making man and he got rid of him with acts of, the flood and other things told about in the Old Testament. The cabal, who plays God by the biblical code, I mean, they're forecasting what they want for humanity through Hollywood, through everything. Just nonstop zombie movies, Georgia Guidestones, conferences about population control, remarks by Bill Gates. Remember Bill Gates' remarks in 2010, the year 2010, William Henry Gates equals 201. Ex-wife from a family of Jesuit priests, same birthday as the Jesuit order, Melinda French Gates, where the Jesuits were founded in France, thus Pope Francis, the first Jesuit pope, the first to live in Suite 201, who's real big on preserving the earth for climate change. But again, Bill Gates, what did he say in 2010? He talked about how we got to get emissions down to zero, and he showed one of the ways to do it would be to get people down to zero. It was a joke. He specified the ways we could reduce population. You should go back and listen. It's about a 20-some minute presentation. By the time you reach 6 minutes, no joke in that video, your jaw should be on the floor. Because he's very clear in his number one way to reduce the population. You would never believe what he said. And don't forget the word believe also has Gematria 33, the word with lie right in the middle, and the authorities expect you to believe them, and that's how they get away with the lies. Some people look at them, they're like, oh, that's just a coincidence. Like, really? Spells and spelling and the word lie right in the middle of believe, which equals 33 with the rest of that long 33 list in that same old cipher. For the record, Taylor Swift equals 129, which is 201 in base 8 counting, kind of like Georgetown equals 129, the first Jesuit university when the Jesuit orders 201. Last year, Kansas City won the Super Bowl in a big 201 ritual, while Missouri was 201 years old, and then now all we can hear about is Kelsey and Swift. So, fan dies at Taylor Swift show in sweltering Rio de Janeiro. You know what? I'm just thinking about it. 33 years after 92, when Agenda 21 was agreed to, is 2025. Remember that? A lot of things allude to the year 2025, from the SPARS pandemic to They Live, where the people ruling over humanity say they'll have full control over the earth by 2025. Just in time for us all to go live in Mark Zuckerberg's Meta, where we can all emit way less carbon in the digital world. Yeah, so you just got to ask yourself, where would the word get to Taylor Swift in her day that this girl was going to come to the concert and she died today? I mean, doesn't that seem weird in itself? And Taylor Swift, with regards to spells and spelling, I remember I drove for Uber and Lyft for 3 months in the spring of 2018 in the Seattle area. And Taylor Swift, she came out for a concert in that period of time, and it was just one of the most memorable days because I was just blown away. Taylor Swift's not my age group, and I know she's a popular person, but I don't know any of her songs, and nobody in my age group listens to her. But when I was driving that day, all I was picking up all day were moms who had flown into town with their daughter and a friend of theirs or two of their friends. Or can you think a mom and 4 girls can sneak into your car? And I was like, all right, let's see if we can get away with it. And I was just like, this is crazy. The whole city's filled with these tourist moms, and they were all from different cities. I was like, so people just fly around and moms bring like the daughter and all her best friends to follow around Taylor Swift? I was just blown away. I mean, there's concerts all the time, but it was the only day where everyone I was picking up was doing the same thing. And you look downtown as you drove around, it was just moms and teenage girls everywhere. And I thought, this is crazy, man. Like, what's going on with Taylor Swift? I mean, is she like the biggest music star ever for, I guess the demographic was, white, wealthy, suburban women. But, man. So, and then I started thinking about white, wealthy, suburban women. That's kind of like the liberal, climate change market. And so I just started thinking about how all these things really factor together so perfectly. And what do you know? Making this, sure everybody hears about this on old 322. Again, Kabbalah, knowing good and evil, using the knowledge, which includes the letters and the numbers, to have sorcery, over people. I mean, this will have an impact on that huge fan base. Oh my God, climate change is so bad. Somebody died because it was hot at her going to her concert. Let's not forget what they did with the big old Jesuit ritual at the Travis Scott Astro World Festival, as UB40's Astro died and the Astros lost in the World Series, only for the Astros to win it 1 year later on the anniversary of the tragedy. And also in the news, George Brown, drummer from Kool and the Gang, dead at 74. And of course, I'm sure some people have died organically at age 74. I'm sure it's happened millions of times. A lot of people have done this earth. But again, in the most simple cipher, the alphabetic order, gematria equals 74, like English, like energy, like occult, like Masonic, like killing, like stabbing. Again, the song Gematria, the killing name. Also the 74th day of the year to remember the killing of Caesar by stabbing. 3 of the first 5 presidents dead on 7-4, a number that's just all over the celebrity world when it comes to ritualistic death. And this news also broke on November 17th, the day leaving 44 days left in the year. Again, Obama, number 44, recently put out his book on that date. Fateful number is 44 in Black history. Marvin Gaye killed on his last day being 44. MLK on 4-4. Malcolm X on a 44 date numerology, and on and on and on. They said he didn't die that day. They said he died the day prior, but the news still broke on November 17th, the day leaving 44 days left in the year. And I got to admit, I did a pretty lazy decode on this, but they said he died from cancer. Of course, cancer and chemo equal 44, just like kill, all in the most simple cipher. If the cancer doesn't kill you, the chemo will. He was a drummer. Drummer has the gematria that equates with killing and murder and death and RIP, pattern we talk about a lot. His birthday was 115. Killing and Masonic are both 74 forwards and 115 in reverse, so is Lucifer. Numbers have a lot to do with bathtub deaths throughout history. 74 and 115, from Jim Morrison to his girlfriend to many more. Last year, what happened with the Backstreet Boys brother? Another bathtub-related incident. Just had a similar thing with Matthew Perry in the hot tub. But, yeah, again, same patterns over and over. Bathtub has the gematria 74, like drown. You had the Ryan Mallett 74 drowning ritual earlier this year. The article also points out that he retired earlier this year after nearly 60 years with the band. Think about nearly 60. That means 59 years and change, like Motown came out in 59. Again, Marvin Gaye was the Prince of Motown, killed on his last day being 44. Detroit does equal 44, where Motown is. The city on the 42nd parallel, but Motown in 59, Black History Month ends on the 59th day of the year. He was with the band for 59 years before retirement and then his death. And again, slave, Negro, blues, Rasta, all with the gematria 59, Ephesians 6, 5-9. The infamous verses about slavery, 5-9. So, R.I.P. to George Brown. And just to remind, about a year back, you had another darker complected drummer, D.H. Peligro of the Dead Kennedys, die at 63 when JFK was assassinated in 63. And we pointed out then from his birthday to his death on October 28th was 111 days. Dead Kennedys equals 111 forwards. Kennedy equals 111 in reverse. Robert Kennedy equals 156. Now you have RFK Jr. on the campaign trail, and his father was shot on the 156th day of the year, June 5th. In the case of the Dead Kennedys drummer, it was 15 weeks and 6 days after his birthday that he died. Dead Kennedys. JFK in 63, his age of death. RFK on the 156th day of the year, also paid tribute to. And just pointing out the point, as we always do, how drummer equals murder equals killing equals death equals RIP. He died last year on the day leaving 64 days left in the year. And last year had 44 date numerology. Kill equals 64 and 44 as well as 28. Remember, Matthew Perry equals 64. He died on that day this year. And he died 44 years after his first film acting credit, Matthew Perry, a film that he starred in with his father, also an actor. So, again, just rituals and entertainment. And again, there's a lot more to that decode than this one. But still, similar time period, other fateful numbers, and news breaking on the day, leaving 44 days left in the year, whereas last year, again, it was on a 44-date numerology. And don't forget that African American also has the Gematria 44, thus Obama, number 44, elected 44 years after the Civil Rights Act. All the famous running backs at Syracuse who wore 44 that were young black men, some of them who died early. R.I.P. Hollywood's made movies about it and made a lot of money off telling the sad story. But did they tell you the truth? Malcolm X, he's got quotes. He's got quotes. If you never looked up Malcolm X quotes, you should. He's got a lot of truthful ones. Okay, it was a struggle with the calculator. Let me make sure nothing's breaking. If not, we'll wrap it up here. What to know about the blockbuster Trump insurrectionist ban. Again, we covered this last night in real time in the stream we did. For people who have never gotten the gist of my channel, you got to watch the work to keep up with everything. Because people are always requesting that I decode things that I did. They're already on my website and they're in the live streams I did. It's just my streams are never just the topic that's in the thumbnail. I cover all that and a lot more, and usually the local news of that day or the current events or the current news. And again, we pointed out last night, this decision was in Colorado, the 38th state. Colorado equals 38 like election. And it came on the 163rd day of the 14th Amendment's age, and it's a 14th Amendment ruling, and 163 is the 38th prime. So another perfect ritual, in tune with the election, the latest 38 Colorado, and try out Gematria and the 4-base ciphers. Pull up the 4-base ciphers here. And I just want you to see that election in Colorado are the same in every single cipher. Whoops, if I can type right. Okay, Colorado election. So, exact same in every cipher. 83 in the most simple, the 23rd prime. Like Donald's 23, like here we are at the end of 2023. Colorado and election, both 38. Again, 163rd day of the 14th Amendment's age, the 38th prime. It was a 14th Amendment-related decision. Colorado and election also 133, like president and government and White House and Abrahamic religions, and really big number there, 133. Remember when he was on the campaign trail in 2015, his first debate, Fox News put up the stat that he was the 133rd richest person in the world, and we said that day in 2015, we said, are they telling us Trump is the next president? And then Colorado and election, also 43, and yeah, again, for the guy who'd leave a comment like, oh, this is just clickbait, it's like, this isn't just clickbait. This is documented facts, proof of what's going on for a decade straight. Sad that somebody a decade into it can have so little willingness to look into things, they'll just dismiss it in an instant, but that's what's wrong with humanity, and that's why we're ruled over by tyrants who got everyone conditioned to their lies. They just think their lies. They've conditioned people's minds so that their lies are their gospel, their truth. The only truth there ever was. But yeah, perfect ritual, day after day. And again, we had no doubt it was a perfect ritual as we were decoding it in real time last night in the stream, so. Get into shape along with your dog. Have you guys seen these new farmer's dog ads where like the people are kicking out their friends from their house because they got a derogatory comment about their dog, and then some of the ads are the people sleeping in bed with their dogs. Some are the same things in the same ad, kicking the people out of the house, kicking the date out of the house because they didn't respect the dog, and then they're sleeping in bed with the dog. Like, I'm watching these ads, and I'm like, who's really behind this brand? I do like the idea of feeding dogs a better diet. Shout out to my man, Token Tim. He's a chef, and his dog never ate any of this pre-made food for dogs. He makes his dog's food every week. Makes the dog mix a hamburger and ground up chicken and onions and something else healthy in there. Just always feeding his dog fresh food. And it's an expensive thing to do, but man, if you're going to have something that you love and take care of, why not feed it well? Or at least a lot better than... And my dad, by the way, when I grew up, my dad worked for a meat company, and I remember as a kid, he'd come home and tell me that. He'd say, Zach, you would not believe how much money wealthy people spend on feeding their dogs. And keep in mind, I'm somebody who grew up in a house. I remember I was about 13, 14 years old when I was at a friend's barbecue, and they were making steaks, and I said to him that I'd never had a steak before in my life, and he said, what, how have you never had a steak? Your dad works at a meat shop. Again, my dad never got to bring anything home. We definitely didn't have money growing up, but yeah, anyway, back on point. These ads about throw the human being, the friend, the girlfriend, the date out of the house and sleep with your dog, It's kind of weird and creepy when you really think about it. I get that some people are like their dog lays in their bed and there's nothing weird going on, but again, you just look at the ads and just the society that, or the direction they're taking society, the battle of the sexes, alienating everybody, people growing up in front of screens, living in front of screens, never having any real in the flesh social time. And now, I mean, ad campaign you see it pretty much everywhere. This brand must be doing well because a lot of people do have pets, and it probably is something that needs to happen. People start feeding their animals better, but just the advertising behind it, it's got a weird little bend to it. I think it's called the farmer's dog, if I'm not mistaken. So now get in shape with your dog. And there's nothing wrong with that either. People should get in shape with their dog. People should be moving their bodies. Again, Eric Adams, who was recently just in the big Masonic ritual. Again, that was even a mainstream headline. Again, just reminding who's ruling over us, the secret society types. He was gloating about bringing all the immigrants to Mexico. Now he says it's too much and it's destroying the city. It's like, whoa, man, you can't play both sides of the aisle. But hey, he knows he governs in the United States of amnesia, and he knows nobody can remember anything past last Monday, and they probably can't remember when he had a totally opposite message in terms of the new message. So, yeah, if you missed the Eric Adams Masonic ceremony, it wasn't that long ago. And remember Eric Adams after the 33 shots fired in the New York subway story where all the cameras were out. If you guys remember that one too, but oh yeah, and then there was the 59 ritual getting raided by the feds on the day, leaving 59 days left in the year. Hold on. How come I got too many? I got a lot of Eric Adams headlines. Hold on. Let's specify a little bit more. I thought it was going to pull up. Here we go. Eric Adams named Master Mason. That's the third degree of Freemasonry. On September 25th. So, Eric Adams has the same gematria as Mason. Go figure. Gracie Mansion has the same gematria as Masonic and Jewish gematria where it happened. But yeah, it was him and a guy high up in the police department. Go figure. In the club. Here, Amy's got a comment. Amy's always doing something great. If you guys aren't following Amy's channel, she's got a YouTube channel just like that. All one word, Crack Their Code. She's got a great website, cracktheircode.org. She's got some food information today. Mix wheat flour, eggs, meat, veggies, sweet potatoes, olive oil, powdered milk, and beef or chicken broth. Make it like a meatloaf and cook it low and slow in the oven on the lowest temp. I'm guessing that's what you make for your dog. I'm guessing that's the mix for your animal, since that's what we were talking about. And yeah, that's like the kind of stuff Token Tim would make for his dog. And his dog lived a really long time. His dog lived to be 20-some in human years. So, yeah, just for confirmation, she says, yeah, that's what she feeds the dog. So, all right, we'll leave it there for now, Truth Seeker. Have a good rest of your day. For you sports fanatics, we'll be on later. Got to finish up the NFL work. And again, thank you to everyone who hits the like and the share. Thank you to everyone who supports the work. And until next time.